The sandwich slipped from her hands and fell to the floor, but the group of young men just laughed louder. "You were in the Marines? America must be really desperate for recruits." Captain Maya Rodriguez froze in her wheelchair, her service pin still gleaming on the lapel of her jacket. 25 minutes later, the entire diner was surrounded by dozens of uniformed soldiers. Who had called them, and why were they here? If you're outraged, type honor in the comments to stand with those who sacrificed for our country. Every weekday at precisely 9 a.m., Captain Maya Rodriguez wheeled herself into Sunshine Diner for breakfast. At 34, her upper body was powerful, a testament to her military background and her present circumstances. The wheelchair had been part of her life for 4 years now, ever since that fateful patrol outside Mosul, when she'd pushed 2 junior officers out of the way of an incoming RPG. "Morning, Captain," called Dahlia from behind the counter. "You're regular?" Maya nodded with a slight smile. "Please, and maybe an extra napkin today." She wore civilian clothes now, dark jeans, a burgundy sweater, but always kept 2 items with her: a Marine Corps service pin affixed to her collar and a carefully folded Purple Heart citation that she carried in her wallet. The citation rarely left its place, but knowing it was there gave her strength on the difficult days. Today was becoming one of those days. As she navigated toward her usual window booth, her wheelchair caught on an uneven floorboard. The club sandwich she just received slid from her lap onto the freshly swept floor. "Damn," she muttered, reaching down as far as she could. From a nearby table, laughter erupted. 3 young men in designer sportswear were pointing at her. "Nice reflexes," said the one with an expensive watch, his voice deliberately loud. "And they let you serve in combat zones?" Maya ignored them, focusing on trying to clean up the mess. "Hey, I'm talking to you," the man continued. "You actually claim to be a Marine? America must be really desperate for soldiers these days." His friends laughed, encouraging him. "Jason, she can't hear you," another one said loudly. "Too many explosions, probably fried her eardrums." The diner had gone quiet. A young server stood frozen, coffee carafe in hand, her eyes moving between Maya and her manager, who was suddenly very interested in reorganizing menus. "I hear perfectly fine," Maya finally said, her voice calm but firm. "Better than you might think." Jason stood up and walked over, looking down at her. "So you're what? Some sort of disabled veteran with a little pin and everything? Cute accessory." Maya's hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the nerve damage that affected her fine motor control as she tried once more to pick up the fallen sandwich. The bread slipped through her fingers again. The 3 men erupted in laughter. "Look at this, can't even handle lunch." Jason mimicked her movements, pretending to drop something while making exaggerated trembling motions. "This is our military hero, folks." Maya stared straight ahead, her jaw clenched tight as the laughter echoed through the suddenly silent diner. A young server named Chloe approached with a replacement sandwich. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, placing it carefully on Maya's table. "This one's on the house." Before Maya could thank her, Jason's voice cut through again. "Special treatment for the so-called veteran. What a surprise." Chloe's cheeks flushed red, but she hurried away without responding. Maya unwrapped the fresh sandwich slowly, her appetite gone. She reached into her pocket, fingers brushing against the folded Purple Heart citation before finding her phone. On her lock screen was a photo of her unit. 8 faces in desert camouflage. 3 of them had gold stars digitally added to the corners of the photograph. Around the diner, other customers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. An elderly couple raised their menus higher, effectively blocking their view of the situation. A mother with a toddler gathered her things and left quickly, eyes averted. A businessman tapped furiously on his laptop, headphones firmly in place. No one spoke up. No one made eye contact except for one small girl, maybe 9 or 10 years old, who stared openly at Maya from the next table. She wore a red, white, and blue headband and clutched a half-eaten piece of toast. "Dad?" She stage whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "That lady has a Marine pin, like Aunt Sarah's." Her father hushed her quickly, pulling her closer. Maya placed her hands on her wheels, preparing to leave early, something she'd never done in her 4 years of coming to this diner. That's when her phone rang. The screen displayed Marcus, with a photo of a serious-looking man in military dress uniform. Maya. His voice was clear through the speaker. I just got a message from Chloe's cousin. What's happening there? Maya's eyes darted to the young server who was pretending to refill salt shakers at a nearby table. So that's how he knew. It's nothing, Marcus, Maya replied softly. Just some guys being idiots. I'm handling it. Maya, his voice hardened. Those aren't just idiots. I can hear them in the background. Marcus, please. I don't need... Where are you sitting right now? My usual window booth. A pause. Stay there. Marcus, don't you dare. But he had already hung up. Maya set her phone down and noticed Jason watching her, a smirk spreading across his face. Call in for reinforcements? He mocked. Maybe they'll send someone who can actually walk next time. His friends laughed again, though one seemed less enthusiastic than before. Maya closed her eyes briefly, took a deep breath, and opened the wrapped sandwich. She began eating methodically, dignity intact, despite the continued comments from the nearby table. The small girl was still watching her, her eyes wide with something that looked remarkably like reverence. What would you do if your friend was disrespected like this? If you believe honoring those who sacrificed is the minimum we owe them, type "stand tall" in the comments. Exactly 25 minutes after Maya's phone call, the ground seemed to vibrate. The sound of engines, powerful military engines, filled the morning air. Through the diner windows, everyone could see the convoy arrive. 3 Humvees, a transport truck, and a military police vehicle, all in tactical green with official markings. They parked with precision, blocking both the entrance to the parking lot and the view from the street. Jason's smile vanished. What the hell? The diner fell silent as soldiers in combat uniforms emerged from the vehicles. 18 of them, each moving with disciplined efficiency, formed a perimeter around the building. They didn't rush, didn't shout, just moved with a coordination that spoke of years of training together. The bell above the door chimed as a soldier entered. Tall, with Major's oak leaves on his collar, and a face that held the focused look of someone who had commanded in battle. His eyes scanned the room methodically until they found Maya in her corner. Without hesitation, he walked directly to her table. Stopped precisely 3 feet away and snapped to attention, a perfect military salute. "Captain Rodriguez," he said, voice carrying throughout the now silent diner. "The men and women of Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, present and awaiting your orders." Maya's eyes widened in recognition. "Major Coleman," she whispered. "You shouldn't have done this." Jason and his friends had gone pale, their arrogance evaporating in seconds. Major Coleman turned to face the diner at large, but his gaze settled on the 3 young men. "This establishment," he announced, voice steady but authoritative, "is honored by the presence of someone who deserves your utmost respect. Captain Maya Rodriguez, Marine Corps, who lost the use of her legs while saving 2 junior officers from an RPG attack in Mosul in 2019. That woman," he pointed to Maya, "was my commanding officer." One of Jason's friends shrank in his seat. Another muttered something that sounded like, "Jesus Christ." Jason himself started to stand, perhaps to leave, but found his path blocked by another soldier who had entered silently. "Going somewhere?" the soldier asked quietly. "Is there something you'd like to say to a decorated officer first?" Maya remained seated, her face composed and professional, but a subtle flush of emotion colored her cheeks, catching the morning light from the window. Major Coleman knelt beside Maya's wheelchair and placed a unit challenge coin on the table next to her half-eaten replacement sandwich. The gesture, respectful yet understated, communicated volumes. "Lieutenant Parker's daughter just completed officer candidate school," he said softly, though in the silence everyone could hear. "She says she joined because of what you did for her father." More soldiers filed in, lining the walls of the diner. One by one they came to attention, creating an impromptu honor guard. The first soldier to enter after Major Coleman stepped forward. "We apologize for the delay, Captain," he said formally. "Route clearance took longer than expected." Maya looked around at the faces. Some she recognized from her command days, others new replacements, but all wore the same expression, profound respect. Delia, the diner owner, emerged from behind the counter for the first time since the incident began. "Captain Rodriguez," she said, voice steady but emotional, "your meals are on the house, today and every day." Major Coleman assisted as Maya navigated toward the door. the path now lined with soldiers standing at attention. As she passed, each soldier saluted, not out of obligation, but genuine reverence. Throughout the diner, people rose to their feet. The elderly couple who had hidden behind their menus stood tall, the man's hand moving to his heart. A woman whispered to her teenaged son, "Remember this moment." Jason and his friends weren't forcibly removed or publicly berated. They didn't need to be. The power of the moment had accomplished what confrontation never could. Each hung his head as Maya passed, shame evident in their postures. The small girl in the patriotic headband broke away from her father and ran to Maya's side. She thrust a paper napkin into her hands, a drawing of a woman in uniform with stars all around her. "Thank you for protecting us," she said simply before running back to her father. Maya smiled, her first genuine smile that morning, and carefully tucked the drawing alongside the Purple Heart citation in her wallet. As they emerged into the sunlight, surrounded by her former unit, Maya looked up at Major Coleman. "You didn't have to mobilize everyone for this, Marcus." "Yes, Captain," he replied firmly. "We did." As they reached the transport vehicle with the wheelchair lift, Maya paused. Some heroes never seek recognition, but bear physical wounds so others can live freely. Sometimes a word and a gesture are enough to reveal character or lack thereof. The greatest battles aren't always fought in distant conflicts, but in everyday moments when we choose whether to honor sacrifice or diminish it. If you believe those who serve deserve to be treated with dignity, subscribe to True Honor, where silent heroes find their voice. True Honor, where silent heroes speak.